yeah, they weren't as consistent because he didn't have the best quarterback ever to play the position on his roster. But they were still at times showing to be a playoff caliber team, and Damian was in and around those teams as well, and they made their way to the postseason. And I just think that you can look at things in that sort of microscope and try and pinpoint, okay, this is a flaw to a resume. No resume is absolutely perfect, but his is as close as it gets. And if you're going to use precedent, then you have to look at other coaches, other players that have gotten in first ballot caliber resumes, and his is top among them. So there's no argument as to why this wasn't someone that should get in on the first ballot, even if the years after Tom didn't match what was. I mean, he had multiple Hall of Fame careers within one run there for those 20 years. So I wouldn't put any stock in any of those things, both on and off the field.
Yeah, I'm with Evan. I mean, it'd be a damn shame if anything post-Brady, North Carolina involved had anything to do with this decision because, again, to Evan's point earlier, the model of consistency, the effect that he had on the brand that the National Football League is, I mean, there hasn't been a more important head coach, at least in my opinion. I know I'm a young guy. I know I wasn't around back in the old days, but when we're talking about the history of the game and the impact of a head coach, the consistency, the dominance, let's use that word because it's what it was, the dominance of the New England Patriots during that time, it was all because of the Bill Belichick way. It was because of the Patriot way. And again, to Evan's point, whether you liked it or disliked it, it was a model of success. And even, again, those years post-Brady, I think people forget I was on that team. We had a 7-game win streak where we looked like we were going to be a deep-run playoff team. We went to Highmark Stadium in Buffalo and beat the Buffalo Bills against Josh Allen with guys like Mac Jones and a roster that really wasn't as great as it could have been, but there was no lack of coaching. There was no lack of imprint and DNA on that team. And just again, Bill was the catalyst of all of it. So regardless of what has happened since then, regardless of post-Brady, and God, I'm glad we haven't had to hear about his girlfriend in so long because it's irrelevant to what he's done for the game of football. So I don't even want to hear about it now because, again, that would be a shame and a travesty if that had anything to do with him not being selected as a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, the wins don't lie and the rings don't lie, but there was some scandal within that storied career. Damian, how much do you think that Spygate or Deflategate factored into this? Are voters still holding scandals against him all these years later?
I mean, listen, I can't speculate too much and say I think or I don't think, because I don't know. I mean, what I do know is, in terms of Deflategate, there's scientific research. There's a website where the Patriots have information, scientific information to prove why the balls were at the certain PSI that they were and other things like that. So, I mean, listen, there are a lot of scandals. There's been a lot of things that have happened across the football league. I mean, listen, I've heard it. Evan Washburn's probably heard it before. Hell, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I'm not saying that you do that to such a degree where you compromise the integrity of the game. And to be honest with you, I don't think that those scandals really take away from the greatness of Bill Belichick. And I think that what he has done supersedes that. I mean, again, I'm not in that room. I can't speculate too much. I wouldn't hold it against them. But again, who knows if the voters did.
Well, Damian, we're going to find out what happened in that room. That's just the nature of this business and how everything operates. And whether it's over the next 24, 48 hours, we're going to know what specifically came up, why certain voters decided not to vote him in. And there's going to be all eyes on this entire process. And if I were to give one silver lining here, and this just kind of came to me in the moment, we're going to now spend, as a collective sort of football consuming audience, both on the media side, the fan side, within the league, players, coaches, now almost celebrating Bill Belichick in a way that I don't think we would if he had been a first ballot Hall of Famer because of the miscarriage of this process. And I think that's something, especially over the last few years, that maybe has been lost. And look, this is kind of how things go. We build people up a lot and then they often get teared down. And I think for right now, from what I can tell and just my own personal interactions, group chats with my crew and talking through this, like we're all kind of stunned as everyone else. And now it's giving us all an opportunity to kind of revisit what this man did for the NFL, and the word I keep going back to, consistent excellence and thinking about being at an AFC Championship game a couple days ago, and for what felt like every year over the course of 20 seasons, the Patriots were in and around that game, advancing to Super Bowls. So I think we're going to now spend a lot of time over the next few days and maybe even weeks, and then in lead up probably to this Hall of Fame group, talking about Bill Belichick in a positive way. And that has something to be said for, even though, unfortunately, he won't be going in, it appears.
He will certainly feel the love from the media and his peers, and hopefully next year this won't happen again, because based on what you said, too, everyone is going to collectively come around and say this isn't right, this shouldn't have happened. But, Evan, I do have to ask you about Tom Brady, right? Obviously, he's a lock someday, but does this vote change how we think about first ballot? You know, certainly, like, is it going to actually happen first ballot, or does this change the way you think of Tom Brady being inducted someday?
Whew, I don't know if I'm ready to go there. That would take this to a whole another level, because I often, as much as I appreciate coaches and what they do and setting cultures and building out game plans and all those things, it's a players' league. Damien and the guys, they did it. They're the reason teams win. And Tom Brady had more to do with winning than anybody that's probably ever played or coached in the league. But what I think it's going to continue to bring up is, all right, what does the label first ballot mean? I mean, we've always thought about, does that put you in a separate wing? I don't think it does. I don't think it gives you any separate indicator on your bust once you're in Canton. You're kind of all there together. So I know it's something that means a lot to the player, the coach, or the executive that's getting inducted. If you can go in first ballot, it definitely is a badge of honor. But I think it's something for Tom Brady where he's probably sitting just like all of us thinking, whoa, how did this happen? But by no means will it, I would imagine, impact anything having to do with his candidacy when that's coming up here in a couple of years.
All right, Damien, do you see this as a one-year statement from the voters, or is there a real chance that Belichick has to wait even longer than people expect?
You know, I think that those 10 guys who made this decision after they turned their ballots in, they probably sat and thought long and hard about, did I make the right decision, right? And then on top of that, the public outcry, the scrutiny, the people are calling for the process to be changed. People want the votes to become public. Now we want all the tea now, Katie Mox. We want all the matcha. We want all the tea. We want to know, because we want to know how the hell something like this can happen. So I would say, well, all of that, they will learn from their mistakes, and this won't happen again. Because again, Bill Belichick, like, what conversation are we having right now? I know we're sitting up here trying to do our job and be very analytical and be very, mindful of our words. But Evan, we're all sitting here thinking, what the hell is going on? Why the hell is Bill Belichick not a first ballot Hall of Famer? And to go back to something else you just said, Evan, and talking about Tom Brady and is he a lock to be a first ballot next year? Bill Belichick, a wise man, once told me, players win games, coaches lose them. Well, guess what? Tom Brady, he won a lot of games. Guess what Bill Belichick didn't do? He didn't lose a lot of them. To further the point, he should be in the Hall of Fame this year. I mean, listen, we want to talk about Robert Kraft's going to be a finalist. We're going to talk about Tom Brady's going to be a first ballot. Let's put respect on Bill Belichick's name for what he did, the excellence that he sustained, the standard that he set, and the Patriot way that even though there's a new form of it, there's still a lot of ties on this team that's going to be playing for a Super Bowl next week.
It's a great point. I mean, Mike Vrabel didn't coach with Bill Belichick, but he spent a lot of time playing under him, learning from him, and you can see some of those characteristics in the way he does it. And, I mean, I think, as Damien's put it, and Katie, you've laid it out really well, we're in a position here of reacting to something that almost feels like unreal news. You kind of have to double check it when you read it there initially. And over the course of time, I think we'll have a better understanding as to why, whether that's a rational explanation or not. We'll come to understand that. But I do think that this will have waves that will carry farther down the road because of just what it looks like on paper when it comes to accomplishments, to what is seemingly required to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. And then the fact that he's left off that list is, again, disappointing in my mind.
Look, if Bill happens to tune in to HQ and he heard the passion that both of you laid out here, I'm sure he would appreciate it. Evan, Davian, thank you so much for stopping by and breaking down this really shocking news, because the numbers don't lie, people. The most Super Bowl wins by a head coach in NFL history. There's only one person at the top, and it is Bill Belichick with 6 and 8 appearances. It just doesn't make sense.